Dravik had treated creatures from every corner of the known galaxy. He had seen beings that thrived off radiation, organisms that metabolized pure iron, and even a species that subsisted entirely on atmospheric moisture. Yet nothing could have prepared him for the dietary abominations of the humans. The clinic was unassuming, a sterile, silver-walled facility on Varthos Prime, a neutral medical station catering to all species. He had been assigned here for the past 15 years, and in that time he had developed a cautious tolerance for the more peculiar biological quirks of his patients. Until today. The human, a male named Adam, sat on the examination table, his posture relaxed despite the medical scan hovering inches from his chest. He had come in complaining of mild stomach discomfort, and Dravik had expected something simple, perhaps an allergic reaction to a local fruit or an imbalance in gut flora. Instead, what he found made his appendages coil in horror. "You consumed what?" Dravik's voice wavered between disbelief and revulsion. Adam scratched his neck. "Which part?" Dravik jabbed at the floating hollow screen. The fermented dairy secretion? The coagulated avian ovum? The scorched flesh of a mammalian creature? And... He paused, eyes narrowing. "You deep-fried it?" Adam grinned. "Yeah, it's called a bacon and egg sandwich, classic breakfast." Dravik felt an unfamiliar sensation creeping through his system, something akin to existential dread. "You willingly ingested burned animal tissue covered in congealed lipids?" "Well, when you put it like that, it sounds gross," Adam shrugged. "But yeah, tastes amazing." Dravik's tendrils twitched. "Your digestive system should be in complete shutdown. The amount of processed fat alone..." He cut himself off, suddenly anxious. "How often do you consume such things?" "Most mornings, honestly." Dravik recalibrated his diagnostic scanner, convinced the readings were faulty. But no, the data remained consistent. Somehow, impossibly, this human was alive. More than that, thriving. "You eat this every single day?" "Not just this. Sometimes pancakes, or waffles, or a breakfast burrito if I'm in a hurry." Dravik hesitated. "What is a burrito?" Adam leaned forward eagerly. "Oh, it's great. You take a flatbread, fill it with eggs, cheese, sausage." Dravik recoiled. "More animal tissue?" "Sometimes. Or beans, if you want to go vegetarian." Dravik's mind reeled. "And you willingly put this into your body?" "Yeah, why wouldn't I?" Dravik stared at him, struggling to find the words. "Because it is a biological catastrophe, Adam. Your arteries, your internal organs, your entire metabolic system should be rebelling against you." Adam laughed. "Nah, my cholesterol's fine. Had it checked a few months ago." Dravik scrutinized the scan again. Against all logic, Adam's vitals were within normal parameters. His cardiovascular system was fully functional. His digestive tract showed no signs of distress. If anything, he was in excellent health. "This is unnatural," Dravik muttered. "You're not the first alien to tell me that." Dravik exhaled slowly. "And you say this is common among your species?" "Very." Dravik rubbed his temples. "I need to understand this further. You will show me how this abomination is created." Adam brightened. "You want me to cook for you?" Dravik hesitated. "I want to understand how you have not perished from your own recklessness." "Fair enough, but if I'm cooking, you're trying it." Dravik stiffened. "Absolutely not. Come on, you need to experience it to truly understand it." Dravik glanced at the scan one last time before shutting it off. Against all scientific reasoning, Adam was fine. More than fine. If Dravik wanted to truly understand human resilience, he would have to witness their madness firsthand. "Very well," he said reluctantly. "Show me." Adam hopped off the table. "You're in for a treat." Dravik followed Adam with the cautious reluctance of one about to witness something profoundly unsettling. The station's communal kitchen was a modest space, sterile, efficient, designed for the preparation of nutrient-balanced sustenance. It was not, Dravik noted grimly, meant for what the human was about to do. Adam moved with practiced ease, gathering ingredients from a refrigeration unit. He retrieved a package of what Dravik instantly recognized as raw animal tissue. The sight alone made his appendages contract, but Adam was unfazed. He unwrapped the strips of meat and laid them onto a heated pan, where they immediately began to sizzle. Dravik flinched at the sound. "You are actively scorching organic matter." "That's called cooking," Adam said, flipping the strips with a casual motion. "Breaks down proteins, enhances flavor, makes things safer to eat." Dravik examined the process warily. The meat darkened, releasing an aroma that was undoubtedly complex but also deeply concerning. Attached to the pan was a small reservoir that quickly filled with a bubbling, translucent substance. "What is that?" Dravik asked. "Rendered fat," Adam said. "Some people save it for cooking later." Dravik recoiled. "You extract the lipids from an organism and then reuse them?" "Yeah, it adds flavor." Dravik's internal temperature regulation spiked. "That is not what lipids are for." Adam let out a short laugh and turned his attention to another item, a fragile, oval-shaped object. Before Dravik could question, Adam cracked it against the edge of a bowl and let the contents spill into the pan. The clear and yellow fluids solidified almost immediately. Dravik narrowed his eyes. "That transformation is unnatural." "It's just proteins coagulating," Adam said. "Heat changes their structure." Dravik observed in silence. The process was rapid, irreversible, and against all logic intentional. But even that was not the worst of it. Adam then reached for a block of pale, dense material and shaved thin slivers onto the food. The shavings melted upon contact. Dravik's stomach clenched. "That is the dairy secretion." "Yup, cheese." Dravik exhaled slowly. "And you say your species has consumed this combination for generations?" "Longer than that, probably thousands of years." Dravik shook his head in disbelief. "Your kind should not exist." Adam grinned. "And yet, here we are." Dravik watched as Adam assembled the components between two halves of a toasted bread-like structure. The final product looked structurally sound, but the sheer density of fats, proteins, and carbohydrates was staggering. "Now," Adam said, holding the sandwich out, "you try it." Dravik did not move. "That was not part of the arrangement." "You wanted to understand, right?" Adam said. "Understanding includes experience." Dravik hesitated. He had treated human physiology before, studied their baffling ability to process substances that should, by all reasoning, be toxic, but to ingest it himself? Adam raised an eyebrow. "You've been eating human food for years, you know." Dravik's appendages stiffened. "That is a falsehood." Adam gestured toward the station's supply list. "The cafeteria imports a lot of human-compatible ingredients. If you've ever had anything marked protein-enhanced, it's probably got some Earth-based components." Dravik's mind reeled. He considered the meals he had consumed over the years, many of which had been vaguely described as nutritionally optimized. He had never questioned their origin. "You are suggesting I have unknowingly consumed your species' dietary atrocities?" "Probably not the worst of it," Adam admitted, "but yeah, some of it." Dravik felt a profound sense of betrayal, not at Adam, but at the universe itself. And yet he was still standing. His body had not collapsed, his system had not gone into shock. After a long pause, Dravik reached out, took the sandwich, and examined it. The layers were neatly stacked, the textures contrasting in ways he could not quite rationalize. He took a small bite. The taste was overwhelming, rich, salty, smoky, layered with complexities his palate had never encountered before. His body processed it without immediate rejection. Adam leaned forward. "Well?" Dravik chewed slowly. "This should not be palatable." "But it is." Dravik swallowed. His body remained functional. His mind, however, struggled to reconcile everything he thought he knew about biology. "I need to reassess multiple fields of nutritional science," he muttered. Adam clapped a hand on his shoulder. "Welcome to human cuisine." Dravik sat rigidly, his sensory appendages curled in contemplation. He had consumed the human meal, and against all logical projections his body remained operational. He could not ignore the implications. Humanity had developed dietary habits that should have rendered them extinct, yet they thrived. There was something here, something beyond simple biological adaptability. He needed to understand it fully. Adam, still chewing his own sandwich, studied Dravik with an amused sort of patience. The human was clearly accustomed to disbelief from other species, but Dravik had no intention of allowing this to remain a mystery. He gestured toward the human's plate. "Explain to me the function of this meal within your species' dietary structure," Dravik said, "on a biochemical level." Adam wiped his hands on a napkin, considering the question. "All right, so it's got a mix of macronutrients, proteins, fats, carbs. The bacon has a lot of fat and protein. The eggs add more protein plus some micronutrients, like choline, which is good for brain function. The bread gives us carbohydrates for quick energy, and the cheese adds some calcium for bone health." Dravik absorbed this, his mind already cross-referencing human anatomy with the provided information. "You deliberately balance these components to sustain bodily function?" "Yeah, more or less," Adam said. "Some people pay really close attention to their diet, but most of us just eat what tastes good and make sure we don't overdo it." Dravik's appendages twitched. "Given the lipid content of this meal, I find it difficult to believe overconsumption is not a regular issue." Adam shrugged. "It can be. Some people eat too much of the wrong stuff and develop health problems, but humans are pretty good at adapting. If we eat too much fat, our bodies store it. If we don't eat enough, we burn it for energy." Dravik narrowed his eyes. "Your species can freely shift between metabolic states?" "Yeah. We can run on carbs, fats, or even break down muscle if we have to. That's why humans can survive in a lot of different environments. Our diet is flexible." The doctor's mind spun through evolutionary models. Most species were obligate consumers of particular substances, yet humans could process an impossibly wide variety of materials, shifting their energy sources as needed. This was not merely adaptation, it was an evolutionary safeguard against extinction. Dravik gestured toward the cooking equipment. "Show me another example of human sustenance, something that displays this metabolic flexibility." Adam's eyes lit up. He rose from his seat and rummaged through the station's supplies, pulling out a dense rectangular package. He peeled it open, revealing a dark brown, slightly glossy slab. Dravik examined it warily. "What is this?" "Chocolate," Adam said. "It's mostly fat and sugar with some plant compounds that affect brain chemistry. Humans love this stuff." Dravik watched as Adam broke off a piece and popped it into his mouth. The human's expression shifted slightly, eyes half-lidded in what could only be described as satisfaction. Dravik hesitated, then took a fragment for himself. It dissolved quickly on his tongue, releasing an array of complex flavors. There was bitterness, tempered by sweetness, followed by a subtle richness that coated his palate. Then, something else, a mild but noticeable alteration in his neurological state. A sensation of alertness, coupled with an odd sense of well-being. Dravik stiffened. "This substance has psychoactive properties." "Yeah, it's got theobromine and a little caffeine, both mild stimulants." "You consume stimulants recreationally?" "All the time. Coffee, tea, chocolate. Some cultures even chew on specific plants for energy." Dravik exhaled slowly. "Your species voluntarily alters its own neurochemistry through dietary choices." "Yep," Adam said. "It's part of the experience." Dravik stared at the remaining chocolate. This changed everything. Not only could humans derive energy from an absurd range of sources, but they actively manipulated their own biochemical state through food. This was not just survival, it was self-optimization. He set the chocolate down carefully. "I must reassess multiple medical assumptions about your species." Adam grinned. "Told you. Human food is more than just fuel." Dravik nodded, his mind already racing with the implications. Humanity's dietary habits were not reckless indulgence. They were a calculated evolutionary advantage, and somehow, impossibly, he had been partaking in it for years without even knowing. Dravik meticulously analyzed his internal readings. He had consumed 2 human meals, one dense with fats and proteins, the other laced with psychoactive compounds, and his body remained stable. No sign of metabolic distress, no irregularities in cellular function. His system had adapted, processed, and integrated the nutritional content with baffling efficiency. Adam leaned back, watching him. "You're taking this a lot better than I expected." Dravik tented his fingers, considering. "I am forced to reassess my understanding of nutritional biochemistry. Your species' ability to derive sustenance from such a broad spectrum of compounds is unconventional." Adam grinned. "That's one way to say completely ridiculous and scientifically impossible." Dravik stared at the human. "It is not impossible, it is merely inconsistent with known biological models." Adam stood, stretching. "Well, if you think that's impressive, wait until you see what we do with plants." Dravis's appendages twitched. "I am aware that humans consume vegetation. This is not unusual." Adam shook his head. "Not just consume. We manipulate. We ferment, pickle, dry, grind, extract oils, refine sugars. We don't just eat plants, we break them down, alter their chemistry, and reassemble them into something entirely new." Dravik hesitated. "Provide an example." Adam rummaged through the storage unit, retrieving a small, dark pouch. He tore it open, revealing shriveled, wrinkled structures. He tossed one into his mouth, chewed, and gestured for Dravik to try one. Dravik examined the object. "This was once a fruit." "Grapes," Adam confirmed. "Dried until they're mostly sugar and fiber, we call them raisins." Dravik rotated the raisin between his fingers, noting the altered texture. He placed it in his mouth, cautiously. The flavor was intense, concentrated sweetness, a hint of tartness, far more potent than any fresh fruit he had encountered. "You deliberately dehydrate fruit to increase its sugar content?" Dravik asked. "Yep, works great for storage, too. Lasts way longer than fresh fruit." Dravik considered this. "Your species has devised methods to chemically enhance and preserve food without degrading its nutritional value." Adam nodded. "We've been doing it for thousands of years. Smoking, salting, fermenting, it all started as a way to keep food from spoiling. But over time we realized those processes made things taste better." Dravik's mind spun through evolutionary implications. Most species consumed food in its natural state, relying on biological mechanisms to break it down. Humans, however, had externalized digestion, pre-processing food before consumption, refining its structure to optimize both longevity and sensory experience. Adam grabbed another item from the storage unit, a cluster of irregular, crunchy forms coated in a fine white powder. "Try this," he said, passing one to Dravik. Dravik examined the texture. "What is it?" "Corn," Adam said, "popped under heat until it expands, then covered in salt and butter." Dravik hesitated. "You subjected plant matter to extreme temperatures until it physically transformed?" "Yep, popcorn." Dravik placed the piece in his mouth. It crunched between his teeth, releasing a burst of salt and fat over an airy, starchy core. It dissolved quickly, leaving a lingering richness on his tongue. "This should not work," Dravik muttered. Adam laughed. "But it does." Dravik set the remaining popcorn down. "Your species does not merely consume food for sustenance. You engineer it for maximum sensory engagement." Adam nodded. "It's not just about survival. It's about enjoyment. Shared meals, celebrations, comfort food. Cooking is a cultural foundation." Dravik exhaled slowly. "You have transformed eating into an art form." Adam grinned. "Now you're getting it." Dravik studied him. Humans had not just adapted to survive, they had optimized their existence to extract joy from the necessities of life. They had turned sustenance into an experience, refining it through chemistry, tradition, and sheer experimentation. Dravik stood. "I will require further analysis." Adam tossed him another raisin. "Plenty more where that came from." Dravik tapped his fingers against the table, his mind cycling through everything he had just learned. Human food was not just sustenance, it was an engineered, chemically enhanced experience. And yet, despite the reckless combination of fats, sugars, and biological modifications, their bodies endured, No, not just endured, thrived. Adam leaned back in his chair, stretching. You look like you're having an existential crisis. Dravik exhaled slowly. I am reassessing multiple biological assumptions. Yeah, humans have that effect. Adam glanced around the kitchen, then stood. You've seen how we manipulate food for storage and flavor, but you haven't seen fermentation yet. Dravik's appendages curled slightly. Fermentation. That word carried implications. He had encountered species that used microbial processes to break down food, but given what he had already seen, he suspected humans had taken it further. Adam walked to a refrigeration unit and pulled out a small jar filled with murky liquid and floating, irregular shapes. He set it on the table with a casual motion. Dravik examined it. What is this substance? Kimchi. Fermented cabbage with chili, garlic, and salt. It's packed with probiotics, good bacteria that help digestion. Dravik's sensory receptors flared. You deliberately allow microbial colonies to proliferate in your food? Yep, same thing with yogurt, cheese, beer, wine, sourdough bread. Adam trailed off, watching Dravik's reaction. Dravik felt his body temperature rise. You willingly ingest bacterial cultures? They're beneficial bacteria. Adam popped the jar open, releasing a pungent, acidic aroma. This stuff has been around for thousands of years. It preserves food and adds flavor. Dravik hesitated. Bacteria were typically a sign of contamination, yet humans had not only embraced their presence but cultivated them for consumption. He studied the kimchi, noting the flecks of red pepper and the softened vegetable fibers. Adam took a bite, chewing thoughtfully. Want to try? Dravik reached for the jar, his fingers tightening around the glass. He extracted a piece of the cabbage, bringing it close. The scent was overpowering, sharp, sour, and deeply complex. He placed it in his mouth. The taste was immediate and intense. A rush of spice, followed by tangy fermentation, then an underlying earthiness. His body processed it without resistance. Adam grinned. Not bad, right? Dravik swallowed. This should not be palatable, yet it is. Adam leaned forward. That's the thing about human food. It's not just about what keeps us alive, it's about what makes life better. Dravik set the jar down, his mind racing. Humans had transformed their entire relationship with food. What should have been a simple biological necessity had become an intricate, evolving craft. They had turned decay into preservation, chemical alteration into enhancement. He folded his hands. Your species does not merely consume, you experiment. Adam nodded. That's how we survived. We figured out how to turn scarcity into abundance. When food spoiled, we found ways to make it last longer. When something tasted bland, we found ways to make it better. Dravik considered this. This is not random adaptation. This is intentional refinement. Exactly. Adam stood and stretched. And that's just food. You should see what we do with medicine. Dravik's appendages twitched. Medicine? Adam grinned. Yeah, if you think food is weird, wait until you hear how we treat injuries. Dravik took a steady breath. Explain. Adam gestured toward the medical bay. Come on, this one's better with visuals. Dravik hesitated, then followed. He had already accepted that human biology was unlike anything he had studied. Now he had to understand how they repaired themselves. The medical bay was sterile, its walls lined with diagnostic equipment and treatment stations. Dravik had worked in countless facilities like this, treating injuries across species with precision and care. But now, he was about to see how humans approached the same challenges. Adam walked over to a supply cabinet and pulled out a small rectangular box. He flipped it open, revealing a collection of individually wrapped strips. Dravik eyed them. What are these? Bandages, Adam said, for small wounds. He peeled one open, revealing a thin, flexible strip with adhesive edges. You clean the cut, stick this on, and it keeps bacteria out while the skin heals. Dravik frowned. You rely on external coverings rather than regenerative treatments? For minor injuries, yeah. Our bodies do most of the work. We just help the process along. Dravik considered this. Many species relied on advanced cellular regeneration or medical nanites, but humans, ever pragmatic, had developed low-tech yet effective solutions. Adam reached for another item, a small dark bottle. He unscrewed the cap, revealing a thin nozzle. This is antiseptic, helps kill bacteria before we bandage a wound. Dravik watched as Adam demonstrated, applying a small drop to his own skin. You chemically disinfect injuries? Yeah, prevents infections, and for deeper wounds we have stitches. Dravik's sensory receptors flared. Clarify. Adam set the bottle down and mimed a stitching motion with his fingers. If a wound is big enough, we sew the skin back together with thread. Keeps everything in place while it heals. Dravik exhaled. Your species is remarkably tolerant of bodily trauma. Adam shrugged. We have to be. Humans get hurt all the time. Dravik studied him. And yet you continue to function. Adam grinned. We're stubborn like that. Dravik folded his hands, processing everything. Humans did not simply heal, they assisted their own recovery with methods that were both crude and effective. They did not possess the biological redundancy of some species, nor the rapid regeneration of others. Instead, they relied on ingenuity. He glanced around the medical bay, his mind settling into a new understanding. Humans were not the most durable species, nor the most biologically advanced, but they had mastered the art of survival through sheer adaptability. Adam clapped him on the shoulder. So, what do you think? Dravik exhaled slowly. Your species should not exist. Adam laughed. And yet, here we are. Dravik studied him for a long moment. Humans were reckless, unconventional, and utterly baffling. But now he understood. They did not endure despite their habits. They endured because of them. He stood, glancing at the medical supplies one last time. I will need to rewrite several medical theses. Adam grinned. Just make sure you include a recipe section.